How do you make more money working in HR leadership? What does it take? Who do you have to talk to? What do you have to do? This is what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm going to share things that have worked for me, things that have worked for other people that I work with. And I also want you to understand it's easy for you to triple your salary in a 10-year span or even shorter if you do the things that we're talking about right now. So these are things that can take you easily from making a 50,000 HR career salary to 150,000 easily, but you've got to do the work, and we're going to talk about this. So who am I talking to? I'm talking to the HR leader who has a desire to grow, a desire to do more in your work, and you know that you have it in you, but you maybe not be sure, what to do next, or curious if you're doing the right things, or wondering, are you in the right position? Are you in the right company? Do you want to leave? These are all fantastic questions, but again, you want a more clear direction. So this video is for you. So I have my notes here. If you do not have your notebook, go get you something to write with. Take your notes. I want you to make sure you get everything we're going to cover today. And tell me in the comments as we go through this, what's the biggest challenge that I'm mentioning, the toughest step that I'm going to list today that you feel that you're going to have. And if I see enough of the comments in the comments below, then I'll come back and I might make another video to go deeper into that specific area that you might struggle with. So bottom line, the goal of this entire program, the goal of this entire series is to help you to understand that you have to put a plan together. Things don't happen, or the best things don't happen on accident. And if you're trying to grow a career in HR leadership, if you're already an HR leader, you're not getting the respect you desire, you don't get the accolades that you desire, you're not seen on equal footing as other leaders in your company. These are things that are real issues. These are things that I've struggled with myself. And so I'm helping you today to put together your plan, give you resources and tools to help you to understand you can have a plan together by next week. Like, you can have a plan together that can roll for the rest of the year, but you got to do these things on purpose. So the first thing you want to make sure you think about is you want to be focused and not scattered. So again, when you're talking about building an HR career, if you want to make more money, the only way to make more money in HR is to do things that make sense to the business. Think about it. People in leadership, in business leadership, typically view HR as a cost center. We're not a revenue generating department. So we're not the sales department. We're not the finance department even. We're not finding ways to necessarily save money in the traditional sense. The things that we do feel a bit soft and airy fairy, for lack of a better term, to people, just because they don't understand all of the nuances that go into the work that we do. So for that reason, if you're serious about making more money in HR, you've got to be clear on your value that you bring to the company. For example, for me, it came back to me being focused was the very first step, because I had to put my own plan together, because there was no way that I had the capacity to try to put in a new initiative for employee engagement, or a new initiative to try to take on employee training. There was no capacity for it, because if I'm not doing my job well, I had no way to make space to do anything else. So the first thing you must do is get focused and not be scattered. One of the very first things that I did was put together a plan for myself, where it sounds tedious, but in the very beginning of my career, when I was on my own in HR, I had to figure out what to do to stop missing deadlines. And I'm not even talking about weird deadlines. I'm talking about things that I should have known were going to come. Preparing for open enrollment, preparing for employee evaluations, having a process for handling onboarding and separations. There are certain things that are going to happen, sometimes unscheduled, but there are certain things going to happen every single year by like clockwork, that I was just too busy not catching and not doing enough proactive work. I was being more reactive. And so that's a struggle that HR leaders face. And so you must be focused, and being focused means coming up with a plan, using the resources like my Thriving in HR Planner to put your plan together, keeping it top of mind, staying on track, so that when you have downtime, you can find ways to optimize other things. But the first thing you must do is get focused. In my HR leadership library, what I love about working with those clients is that it helps you to put together a plan for optimizing your department. So my HR department will run completely differently than Maria's, than Alonda's, than Tanya's. It's going to run completely different. And so we have to know where to focus. And I provide you resources and tools to help you to put your plan together, so that you can understand what you need to focus on next when you get out of the payroll process payroll processing, the benefits administration, the employee relations, all those things. You need to know where your areas of exposure are. You need to know where your areas of optimization are. You need to know, what do you not know? And I provide a lot of resources and tools, checklists, audits, templates, so that you can walk through a series of questions, a series of videos, series of tutorials to help you to understand, okay, this is my area of opportunity. What am I going to do to strengthen this area up? And then the goal is, after your first year in the HR Leadership Library, you're going to have a track record of all the things that you've done to increase your processes, to increase your optimization, to actually make a difference in the lives of your team and of your leaders. So going back to the idea of HR being a cost center, we don't save money in the traditional sense like we think about sales and finance and whatnot. But what we do is we help to support the business by helping the employee experience to be a satisfactory one where they're engaged, they're developed, they are finding satisfaction in their roles. And when we retain those employees, we're not spending unnecessary money. When we retain those employees, we're able to build on the milestones they reach year after year after year instead of starting back over from scratch all the time. So that's the value that you bring as an HR leader, a successful HR leader, in that no, you're not a cost center. If anything, you're helping to add value to the company because you're building the employer brand in more ways than one. So these are things that I have done, and I help you do it as well. The second thing you want to do is be honest with yourself. So when I say be honest with yourself, I had to realize when I had to get back to the point where I was missing those deadlines, I was, not anticipating things in the right way. I could have just had my head in the sand and just be like, you know what? Well, it just happens like that. HR is just a hard position. It's just everyone's missing deadlines. Everyone's doing this. I had to be honest with myself. If I don't want to be average, I can't be average. I can't have average output. If I want to excel, if I want to grow, if I want to do things that have never been done before, reach heights that I've never seen before, I've got to do things that I've never done before. So in that way, I had to be honest with myself. Like, listen, Brittany, what's your issue? Is it a scheduling issue? Is it a knowledge issue? Is it a focus issue? Like, what is it? I had to really get to the heart of what my issue was. And I had to realize that I can't compare myself to other people either. So when I started in HR, I was so green, so new, literally the youngest person in the company because I came right out of college. Everyone around me had more lived experiences. They had full-on families. They had previous full-time jobs. I was completely in a new world. It was so new to me. So I had to be honest, like, Brittany, do you expect to make the same amount of money that they make when they have so much more experience than you have? So I felt I had to catch up in a lot of different ways. So there are certain things that I did that I didn't have to do, but I felt it was necessary for me. So I went back to school. I had my bachelor's degree when I started my full-time HR career. I went back and got my master's. Then I went back and got my PHR certification. Then I got my SHRM certification eventually. And I found different ways to continue to grow on purpose. And one thing I knew, I had the benefit of having a very supportive manager. So at the time, my manager was a CEO. He was very supportive. He knew that, again, that I was so new. And so again, I was saving the company money because I was new and I was learning on the job essentially. But once it got to the point where we had new leadership and I was able to show the value that I was bringing, the things I had done, and showing my value in a continuous way. These aren't flukes. These aren't things that just happen on accident. These are things that I planned to happen. These are things that happen because I chose for them to happen because I'm putting these plans in action. Once you have a track record of that and you get honest with yourself about what your areas of deficiency are, how can you build up those, who can you align with, who can you talk to, who can you get questions answered from. Those are the things that are going to help you to get focused, first of all, but then so to be honest with yourself and not be so scattered and oblivious to the things going on around you. Additionally, I had to find different ways to build relationships. So relationship building is an often overlooked area when it comes to thriving in HR leadership, because not just leadership and relationships with your employees and your management team, but you need a solid relationship with your CEO or your direct supervisor. If you don't have that solid relationship built for whatever reason, maybe you don't talk to them enough, maybe they don't have the time for you, maybe there's so many excuses that you can find. But if you don't have a solid relationship built up where you know how that person defines success, you know what that person looks for in what you're doing, you know how to tell whether you're on the right path or not. If you're not building those things up successfully on purpose, it's going to be really difficult for you to grow in HR leadership the way that you want to, because you need that person in your corner. In my experience, thank God I've always, when I was an HR department of one, I've always reported to the CEO. And I feel that reporting to the CEO is ideal because the CEO has a viewpoint of the entire organization, not just a segment of it. So if you're not already reporting to the CEO, I recommend that you somehow find a way to get your CEO to understand the value of reporting to the CEO, because the CEO is the head of the company. The CEO is responsible for the culture, and you're also leading the culture as well. So it's important for you to be aligned in that way. But that's another conversation for another video. But I feel that it's important to build those relationships. And we don't talk about that as much in the HR leadership library, except for in our after hours talks. But I work with our clients one-on-one about building relationships and helping your supervisor to be successful. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. The third thing you need to do is do the work. So speaking of our after hours calls that we have 3 times a month on Thursdays, typically in my HR leadership library program, in our last conversation, toward the end, the participants were talking about, well, Brittany, this program that you put together is great. We got so much resources, thanking me for, pouring into them in that way. And I kept telling them, well, you're the one who's doing the work. I'm not doing the work for you. You're doing the work, because we have no shortage of information. There's information everywhere, whether it's from, on the news, whether it's even on social media right now, and everywhere that there's so much data and information at our fingertips. We have no shortage of that. And so I'm like, you have to do the work. The information is not the end all be all. You can get information from anywhere. You can find any answer you want to find. It's the work that makes a difference. And so that's number 3 on the list. You must do the work. Even when I told them that, they were like, yeah, but you're the one who's like the voice in our ear, the voice in our heads, the guiding light for us to tell us what to do. But so I hear them and I receive that. But the idea here is you must do the work. It makes no difference then to get focused and then to be honest with yourself and then still wait for things to happen for you. You must do the work. And if you don't know what to do, then that HR leadership library is a great resource for you, because it gives you that plan, that toolkit to walk you through putting together your unique plan for your organization. And so I think it's really, really important that you focus on taking action. So if you get my emails, I'm all about taking action. Everything that you do should lead you to taking more steps forward and forward and forward, so that when you look back, even if you look back 2 months from now or a year from now, you don't want to be in the same place. That's not a good feeling. That's no way to build your career. That's definitely no way to build your salary. And if we're talking about going from a $50,000 career to a $150,000 career, that does not happen without you taking action. You must do the work. So I want to impress upon you that if you don't know what to do, align with people who do know what to do, and how you can walk through those paths is excellent. So once you've done these 3 things, you've gotten focused. You're not scattering all over the place and waiting for things to happen. You've gotten honest with yourself. You're not being oblivious. Your head's not in the sand. You know there's areas that you need to build. You know there's a reason why you're not having the success you want, and you're going to do something about it. You're going to take action. You're going to do the work. Once you do those 3 things, there is no reason why you should not see success in your salary growing, whether on your current position, because you're going to have a track record. By the end of a year working with me, you're going to have a report of a book of the things that you've been able to do, optimize, grow, build, improve. And that's a track record of success. But even if you don't have it on your current job, these are transferable skills. You go into the next interview, you go into the next organization, showing the things that you've been able to do, and not just talking about it. Because as an HR leader, of course, I'm in interviews all the time. I can tell if someone's just telling me what I want to hear, or if they're telling me details that you would only know had you done that work, the numbers, the quantifiable data, the results. So you're going to have that information for your interview process wherever you decide to go. So your salary will increase, whether on your current job or whether you go somewhere else. But again, it cannot grow if you're not doing the right things. So if you are serious about growing in your HR career, you want to make sure you are on the right path. You want to put together a plan for not only your department, but ultimately for your career. Remember, my goal here is to help you to build your impact, build your influence, and build your income. Because I understand that the way that we think about money, everything in life is not about money. I completely understand that. But I also understand that when we're in the workplace and we're deciding and we're looking at numbers, we're looking at salaries, and we see that our income is here and someone else who we see as a peer is here, that discrepancy often results in us not feeling valued. They don't value the work that I'm doing. They don't value the work that I'm bringing to the company, the impact or the effort that I'm putting in. So money is the way that they show that value. Money is the way that impact is seen and viewed. So again, money is not the end all be all, but it is a way to compare yourself. And comparison is not a positive thing all the time, but it's human nature. So again, you see all the employee data, you see all the employee information, you know what everyone makes. So if you're tired of seeing that discrepancy, the only way to make anything different happen is doing that work and putting in plans so that you have no choice but to get that yes, either where you are right now or in your next opportunity. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope it found you better than when you came. If there's any questions for me, drop them down below. But let me know, of these 3 areas: getting focused, being honest, doing the work, which of these 3 is toughest for you? And what can I do to help you to build in that area for the long haul and not just for today? When I work with clients, I'm working with them for the long haul, because I want to see you see success in less than 12 months. So let me know what I can do to help support you, and I'll talk to you on the very next video. Bye.